just fitness-wise, maybe particularly?
Yeah, he's got to do some work still today and possibly tomorrow as well to make sure that he's 100%. I think with all side strain, especially with fast bowlers, you know, it's a tricky one to when they are ready to come back. So that decision will get made probably tomorrow morning.
Is this a game where you know, given the dimensions of the field and the weather and that sort of thing, is this a game where you might consider an all-pace attack?
If you mean if Lungi is available, fully available,
Or even if he's not, you've still got
all rounders.
the ability to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is something that you can think about. I think especially, you know, weather, a lot of rain around, you know, as you rightly say, small straight, big square, you know, pitch has been under covers. Yeah, it's a discussion myself and the coaches briefly entertained a little bit. But I think a full game of 50 overs, I think both our thinking was that Imran is still, you know, such a world-class bowler that even with the wet ball and even on a small field, he's still got the tricks, especially against a team who hasn't faced him before. So, yeah, probably a full game we would stick to having a spinner on our side.
I just want to go back to Lungi for a second. If there's a kind of doubt that maybe he's not 100% fit, is your thinking that maybe you'd rather keep him for, I mean, especially if this is rain affected, for later on in the tournament, or just how conservative do you have to be with him?
Yeah, tricky one, because we're in a position now where we need to win 5 games out of 5. So you want to have your best guys available for selection. But yeah, what you're saying is what we thought as well, you know, trying to make sure that if he's not 100% or even 90% ready for the game, and even if it's going to shorten game or a bit of rain around, is it worth the risk? So that is the conversations that we have spoken about. Yeah, so probably the right call to make would be to say that if he's not ready, you just give him a little bit more time to see if he can play the next 4 games, which is going to be big, obviously, playing against your bigger nations, where this Björn is bowling nicely in the nets. He looks like he's bowling very well. But yeah, that decision will get made tomorrow morning.
Faf, given the first week you had where you had 3 games within a week, and then now obviously kind of 7 overs or 1 game in 10 days, how frustrating has it been sitting on the sidelines for this time, and then also how the weather over the last weeks hampered your preparations?
Yeah, like we said, week 1 was not an ideal start. It was a bad start to the tournament. But that's done now. We have to make sure that we try and put all of our energy and focus into the now and what's coming up next. You know, I truly believe that if we stay, you know, if we carry those ghosts of the last week with us, then it's going to be tough to get out of the hole. So that the conversations the last couple of days, and especially with all the rain around, it gives me more time to check in with players to make sure that guys are on the right path mentally more than anything else, that they've put that week behind them, because you can't be looking back now. If you're looking back, then we're just gonna almost like float through this tournament, you know, win 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 games, but we're not going to achieve what we want. So the fact that there has been a bit of rain has given me clarity on discussions we need to have in the team, and I feel that's been really good off the field. In an ideal world, yes, you would like more practice, but also 1 net session now is not going to make the team play better. I believe it's more the conversations we're having behind, you know, just making sure that we're strong and knowing exactly what we need to do, you know, the style of cricket that we need to play, the intensity that we need to apply. I felt in that first week our intensity and the way that we play was down. And that's not good enough, and that's why our results wasn't the way we wanted.
Just a word on your opposition. Obviously, you guys haven't played them in a 50-over game before. How much are you drawing on your experience from the IPL and facing their spinners in particular? Yeah,
very true. Afghanistan, I think what's clear in the world of cricket now is that you can't call teams minnows anymore. You can't call them weaker sides because they have the ability and the players in their dressing room to change a game. You know, you need 2 or 3 guys in any game to stand up and win you a game, and they've got those players. Obviously, Rashid Khan is probably the standout for them in the fact that he's proven in T20 cricket that he's certainly probably the best leg spinner in the world in T20 cricket. You know, in 50-over cricket, it gives him a bit more time, but you also don't have to attack him as much as you have to do in one-day cricket. So it's really important for us to make sure that the learnings that there is, you know, from the players that's played against him in the IPL, that we share that knowledge in the dressing room and, yeah, just make sure we annihilate that threat. You know, if he bowls and he's not getting wickets, then it gives us an opportunity to make sure that we can get some plays towards other bowlers. When they come into the game is when he gets on a roll and he gets 2 or 3, 4 or 5, you know, in quick succession, which he has the skills to do. So it's just about making sure you know when he comes on to bowl, what his job is. His job is to try and get a few wickets and put some pressure on our batting lineup.
Faf, how different is it to prepare and also play a day-night game?
We've played a lot of day-night cricket, so what you do, you try and just out of your preparation, just get used to the lights, because every place you play day-night cricket, the lights feels different. This ground looks like there's a few pockets that are not as bright as the middle, so it goes out a little bit darker towards the end of the. So it was good to have a night practice yesterday where we could just see what was going on, and then yeah, you have to make those quick decisions in the middle as well, you know, because sometimes at night it can be a little bit more difficult picking wrist spin. So you just got to give yourself a little bit of time, making sure you assess what's happening in the bowler's hand, and then from there on you make your plans and you try and counter it as best as possible.
Faf, you touched on it then, but are you clear in your own mind and the squad as well that you have to win all the remaining games to have a chance of making the last 4?
Yeah, that's super clear for us. I think the clarity, I mean, that's what we're trying to achieve, is to give the guys real purpose in the next 5 games. That this is, you know, actually the opportunity you had where there was a bit of space for us to make a mistake here and there. Now it's, you know, everyone has written the team off, so there's our backs against the wall as a team. So hopefully that allows the guys to come out and just play the way that we want to play, the way that we can play. And I truly believe if we do that, if we play that style of play, we will be a very dangerous team. We just haven't fully unlocked that the potential that we do have on our side.
Faf, you talked about discussions with players this week and while the rain's been around. Are there any specific kind of examples or sporting stories you've been calling on for like inspiration? I think a couple of IPL teams have won, you know, having lost 5 in a row at the start. Are there anything that you've been focusing the guys on, minds on?
I want to keep my secrets to myself. No, it's honestly, it's just been checking in with every guy individually, see where he or she is, and then just making sure that I make it clear to them that there needs to be purpose in what's coming up. You know, you can't just hope for things to change. Hope is a very dangerous thing for me. You need to make it happen. You need to fight to try and get yourself out of that space as quickly as possible. And just finding different keys in different players where I feel they can lead better in different departments, where they can take more responsibility, where they can take more ownership. Yeah, so it's about trying to unlock players' best that is lying somewhere underneath them. So hopefully we can see a little bit of that coming out in the next few games.
Faf, could you explain what changes from a batting and a bowling point of view when you're playing on a field that has such short, straight boundaries? In my very amateur analysis, I'd say hit straight, but I mean, you know, it's got to be a bit more complicated than that from bowling and batting.
Yeah. I think from a spinning point of view, guys would generally want to try and attack straight. That sounds obvious, but you know that tells you that spinners will probably try to drag the length back and make you hit square. So if bowlers do bowl like that, they actually take a little bit of their weaponry away because they're just short of that perfect length, and then you can score naturally off any spinner. So you know there's a pro to it, but there's also a negative to that. So hopefully we can use that to our advantage. And then from a seamer's point of view, yeah, you want to be making sure that you're making the guys play square, but then also in that there's no point in just bowling short all the time. You know, it's a green surface. The ball might move around. So with the skill that we have in our seam attack, it's important that we target both. You know, that you use your skill and your consistency almost like a test match, and then use the smartness of the field in when you're trying to defend, and that's obviously when the square boundaries comes into play.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Just tagging on to the earlier question about where the team's drawing inspiration from, not many South African captains have dealt with the kinds of situations that you've got now in your team. Is there somewhere that you personally draw inspiration from, captains that you've played under or that you've seen who've dealt with various tough issues that you know maybe you take as an example?
Well, I try and look at myself first, and I try and find ways which is my pillars and my keys to get me strong. You know, that's my family, my faith, my positive talking, my visualization. Those are things that I draw energy from, and it's important that you spend as much time into things that raises your tank, and not spend too much time on things that drain you even more. So I start that with myself, and then, you know, try and speak to the guys about what is it that keeps you in that real place where you feel like you're at your best when you're playing cricket, and then trying to unlock that with players. So whether it's a working recipe, I can only relate to myself, and try and tap into the other players and see if I can get them where they need to be before the game.
If I'm just getting back to this ground, this is the venue where you guys last won a cricket match. How much are you drawing on that experience, and does that play into your hands? What experience are you taking from that last game?
Yeah, we did. I mean, the nice thing is we played, we batted on this wicket. I suppose the positive from playing on conditions like this is the last time we played, the ball didn't spin much. So that is a weapon that Afghanistan has, or have. They've got a very good spin attack, and if you get them on a surface that is a bit slow or does spin a bit, they just as dangerous as you know, West Indies, England, Australia with their bowling attacks, because they've got guys that can get wickets all the time. So hopefully that's the same tomorrow. Hopefully the pitch doesn't assist the spin too much. And then last time we batted, there was clear things that we could take away. The first 10 overs, the ball does nip around a bit, and even right through the innings, there is elements of that. But if you get in, you can score quickly. As the guys were saying, the boundaries are quite straight. So if you got a few options, and you do feel like you can counter really well on this ground as well.
Faf, at your first World Cup as a captain, you've spoken about having to go to players and have conversations over the last 2 weeks. Would you say that in just your time as a leadership, in the leadership group and the leader of this team, you know, this World Cup has probably pushed you as far as you've ever been before? Have you had to go to a place as a leader that you've never been before? Yeah,
that's fair. And I think naturally with everyone, you know, when you speak to the team before coming to a World Cup, you are preparing them for the fact that World Cups, as much as you try and make it just another game of cricket, unfortunately there is a little bit more expectation. There is a little bit more on you as a player, and the same thing is for a captain or a coach. So definitely the start that we've had has made that really, really challenging, and that is something. It's probably been the biggest challenge if you look over a career. You know, we haven't had a run of 3 games on the bounce where you lose, where you feel like, you know, it's do or die now. As I said, in series, normally you always have another opportunity to come back. The one series that we find really tough was against India, but I was injured for that series against India in South Africa. So, yeah, from a challenge myself as a leader, this has been right up there. But I suppose that's what the last 2-3 years of captaining the side has prepared me for, you know, whether it's good situations or bad situations. You try and mature as much as you can as a captain to try and be ready for when it's really, really tough, because then the team looks to the leaders in the side. So, yeah, it's a hard time, but it's also a time that I'm really I'm owning up to the fact that I need to step up and make sure that I lead the team in a time when they need me.
Faf, I think it was you who said when discussing selection for the India game that who your best batsmen were against spin was a large factor in that.
Yeah.
Are you thinking the same way here? Another side whose weapons are mainly spin.
Yeah, we're trying to find consistency in our personnel that we're trying to pick. You know, trying to play players to give them a run of form where they can score runs and get some consistency. The unfortunate thing with that is no one's really put their hand up to say, you know, here's consistent performances. Make sure you pick me. So if we've got 7 or 8 batters, you try and look at guys that you feel are a little bit in form. You know, that's probably why we've pushed for Aiden more than some of the experience in JP or Dave in some of the games. You know, Aiden has been on really good form himself in one-day cricket the last year. So you try and find that little balance of setting up your batting lineup. Hash, as I said after the previous game, he came in and he batted really well in those excuse me, those 2 warm-up games. So we find that he got some really good form. And the fact that we haven't had consistent performances from us as a whole batting unit makes that tough to find out who exactly is your best batters on the tournament, you know. So that's made selection a little bit trickier. So I'm hoping that guys can start putting up hands now because in a perfect world you want consistency. You want consistency in your selection. You want consistency in the guys that you back. Yeah, but that Indian series was, as you say, was a case for us where we felt pick the guys that have played a lot of IPL cricket, that's faced the spinners in the IPL a lot. And obviously Aiden was left out in that game and he hasn't faced any of those spinners. But it showed on the same day that even the guys who played them a lot still struggled to play them well. So that's also not a guarantee. You're just trying to go with what your gut's telling you is the right thing to do.